You were there for all of it. Your first steps, your first taste of something sweet, the first time you heard your own name and somehow knew it meant you. You lived through thousands of mornings, thousands of meals, thousands of tiny discoveries that rebuilt the world from scratch. And you remember almost none of it. Most people assume the answer is simple. The memories faded. You were small, your brain was new, and time quietly erased the file. But the real answer is far stranger than forgetting. Because the truth is, you didn't fail to make those memories at all. You made them, vivid ones. And then something inside you reached in and deleted them on purpose. Try it right now. Reach back as far as you can go. For most people, the trail runs out somewhere around the age of 3. A flash of a birthday cake, a dog, a scraped knee, maybe a feeling without a scene attached to it. Before that line, there is nothing. Not darkness, exactly, just absence. A whole person lived for 1,000 days before your story seems to begin. This blank space has a name. More than a century ago, Sigmund Freud noticed it and called it infantile amnesia. He found it remarkable that the years packed with the most intense experiences of a human life, the years when you learn to walk and speak and love, leave behind the least. The richest chapter of your existence is the one you can never reread. For a long time, the explanation seemed obvious. A baby's brain is unfinished. The hardware isn't ready, so nothing gets recorded. It's a tidy story. It is also wrong. Because babies remember constantly. A 6-month-old recognizes a face she saw last week. A 1-year-old knows exactly where you hid the toy. Toddlers learn the names of hundreds of objects, the rules of their home, the route from the bedroom to the kitchen. They are absorbing the entire structure of reality at a speed you will never match again. Memory is not missing in early childhood. It is everywhere. So why does none of it survive? The psychologist Patricia Bauer spent years chasing this question. She brought young children into her lab and taught them little sequences, simple events they could perform and then recall. And the children did recall them. The memories were real and detailed, but Bauer kept following the same children as they grew, and she watched something quietly devastating. The early memories didn't lock in, they evaporated. A 3-year-old could describe an event from a year before. A few years later, that same event was simply gone. The memories were forming, they just weren't sticking. So the problem was never recording, the problem was keeping. To understand why, you have to go down into a small, curled structure deep in your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as the place where short moments get stitched into long memories, the part that takes a fleeting experience and files it somewhere you can find it again. In an adult, the hippocampus is relatively stable. In a baby, it is a construction site that never sleeps. Here is where the story turns strange. In the early years of life, the hippocampus is flooded with brand new neurons. They are born at a furious rate, far faster than at any later point. This process is called neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells, and for a long time, everyone assumed more cells could only mean better memory. More storage, more power. 2 neuroscientists in Toronto, Paul Franklin and Sheena Jocelyn, looked closer and found the opposite buried inside it. Every time a new neuron wedges itself into the hippocampus, it doesn't just add capacity, it rewires the existing connections. It pushes into circuits that were already holding something. And a memory is nothing but a specific pattern of connections. Disturb the pattern and the memory dissolves. So picture it. You are 2 years old, you form a perfect, sharp memory of a summer afternoon, and then in the weeks that follow, thousands of new neurons crash into that exact region of your brain, reshaping it, overwriting the delicate wiring that held the afternoon in place. The memory isn't lost to weakness, it is lost to growth. The same explosive development that is making you smarter by the day is bulldozing your past behind you as you go. Franklin and Jocelyn even managed to test the logic directly in young animals. Slow the flood of new neurons and early memories lasted longer, speed it up in older animals, and stable memories started to crumble. The forgetting wasn't a flaw in the system. The forgetting was the system, doing exactly what it was built to do. Sit with that for a second. The reason you cannot remember being 2 is that being 2 was when your brain was working hardest. But neurons are only half of it. There's a second reason your earliest years slip away, and it lives not in your cells, but in your sense of self. A lasting personal memory is not just a snapshot, it is a story. And a story needs a narrator. It needs a main character who can say, "This happened to me, here, then, and it mattered." That sense of a continuous self, the I that threads one moment to the next, doesn't arrive fully formed. It has to be built, and it is built largely out of language. The psychologist Katherine Nelson studied how children begin to talk about the past, and she noticed that autobiographical memory blooms right alongside the ability to tell about it. Before you had words for time, before you could hold the ideas of yesterday and last summer and when I was little, you had no shelf to store an experience as your experience. The event happened, but there was no narrator yet to claim it. A camera was rolling. No one was filming a story. This is also why your parents shape what you remember without either of you realizing it. When an adult turns to a child and asks, "Do you remember the beach? What did we see? What did you feel?" They are not just chatting, they are teaching the child how to convert a raw moment into a kept one. Children whose families talk often and richly about the past tend to have earlier, fuller first memories. Memory, it turns out, is partly a skill. And like any skill, you had to be taught. There's a clue hidden in this you can see across the whole world. The researcher Qi Wang compared the earliest memories of people raised in different cultures, and the line where childhood amnesia ends is not fixed. It moves. In cultures that emphasize the individual and tell stories centered on a child's own feelings and choices, first memories arrive earlier. In cultures that emphasize the group, the family, the collective, the earliest memories tend to come later and feel less personal. The boundary of your forgotten years was drawn in part by the language and the stories that surrounded your crib. And the psychologist Carol Peterson found that the edge of that boundary isn't even as sharp as it feels. She showed that young children can often recall events from earlier than adults assume. But those memories keep quietly falling away year after year until the wall settles into its familiar place around age 3 or 4. You didn't lose your early years all at once. I guess you lost them slowly, the way a tide pulls sand back into the sea grain by grain, until the beach looks like it was always empty. Here's the part most people never stop to consider. You think this is something that happened to you long ago, a one-time deletion you've safely moved past. It isn't. You're still doing it right now. You forget the drive home. You forget what you ate 3 Tuesdays ago. You forget entire conversations that felt important while you were having them. Your brain is constantly choosing what to overwrite, pruning, reshaping, deciding what version of the past gets to survive into the present. Infantile amnesia was simply the most dramatic version of a thing your mind never stops doing. It curates you. Every single day, it edits the story and quietly throws away the footage it decides you don't need, which means the person you remember being is not a recording, it is a reconstruction. A story assembled from the fragments that happened to survive the flood, narrated by a self that arrived too late to witness its own beginning. You are not remembering your life, you are remembering the edit, and the 2-year-old, the one in the photographs you don't recognize, the one who learned your language and your name and the shape of the people who loved you. That child is not gone. You can't see them because they are not in front of you. They are underneath you, everything they learned in those forgotten 1,000 days. The trust, the words, the fears, the first map of the world became the floor you've been standing on your entire life. You built the whole house of yourself on a foundation you will never be allowed to see. So no, you were not there for all of it. Someone else was. Someone who lived your most important years, learned everything that made you possible, and then handed it all to you and disappeared, leaving no memory behind. Only you.